Other interesting business news, you have fast food restaurants jacking up prices as minimum wage laws kick into effect. Who would have thought it? Ah, yes, anyone with a modicum of business intelligence, or just any intelligence for that matter. Although it's fascinating to see the social media and the culture, different sample sizes. You look on LinkedIn, many people are foolishly applauding dramatically increasing and ramping up minimum wage across the US, across industries, for no real reason except they rudimentarily think, oh yeah, this will help people. No, they are mentally vacuous if people make those statements, rather. They don't know how understand how business or inflation works. And my favorite metaphor or analogy or way to describe the increase in minimum wage laws in the United States is if you do not possess a certain skill set, that means you're productive to the business to a certain price point. The government is taking away your ability to work. They're quite literally saying you don't deserve to work because you do not achieve this level of productivity. For example, if Bob makes burgers and his productivity level is $5 per hour, that is how productive he can be. And yet the government is saying you have to pay him $20 per hour. That means every hour they're losing $15 per hour, or even more if you consider additional overhead costs with the cost of training the employee, with the cost of in some states, in some instances, you also have the cost of health insurance, debt. It's a terrible night for businesses. So the only way they can really cope with that is by jacking up the prices exponentially to make up for that gap. Now, this comes to us thanks to Kara Reinhart over at LinkedIn News. They noted that both major chains, including, see here, McDonald's, Chipotle, Jack in the Box, are going to plan to raise prices to cope with the higher labor costs in California. Again, you get what you vote for. They note that the state is increasing the minimum wage for fast food workers in April to $20 per hour from $16 an hour. That is ridiculous to say the least. Not to be an old soul as usual, but back in my day, I was making $7.38 per hour, and we were dang happy with the wage. And that wage provided the business the ability to make some money, as well as provide the price point for the consumer at a reasonable rate where they could actually purchase the products and services that the business was selling. Now, in this case, a McDonald's franchise group added that the additional burden comes to in at $250,000 per restaurant per year. Jeez Louise. So the increased cost is $250,000 per restaurant per year. Now keep in mind many franchise families and organizations own multiple restaurants, so that cost is going to be adding up in the aggregate quite astronomically. I mean, imagine if you owned, just 2 restaurants, that's already $500,000. 4 restaurants, that's $1 million every year in increased cost. And it's also California, one of the most difficult places to do business, though due to the sheer overwhelming sample size of prospective clients, that's why so many businesses are fighting to stay afloat there, because they know they have a huge opportunity of people to sell to. Now, it looks like industry consultants firms estimate the extra dollars in hourly wages necessitates at minimum 2% increase in prices. They also know that the birthplace of McDonald's and In-N-Out counts about 761,900 people employed in the industry. Price increase and many proportions helped McDonald's U.S. last quarter, but the conflict, and they also know the conflict in the Middle East has had an impact on their businesses. So, that is terrible to say the least. It's, again, if you don't have that skill set, they're not going to, it's just removing you from the employment pool, which perhaps, moderate conspiracy theory, that's what the government wants, is that you'll be dependent on the system and the benefits that they give you in exchange for their vote. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see at what point do everyone just stop eating fast food? Fast food used to be especially beneficial to the consumer because it was fast, convenient, and cheap. It's no longer cheap. It's not really convenient even when I was a youth growing up back in my day, they would get the orders wrong all the time. There's really only one conceivable solution to California's fast food industry right now, and it's going to be exponentially ramping up automated technologies. And you're going to have, yes, you'll have to pay certain employees more per hour because they'll be basically technicians or, technical experts on the products, but it'll be dramatically less overall, I believe, than having a whole kitchen of people that, again, most of them can't I don't believe it'll be sustainable long term with the increase in wages. And again, in fact, I mean, McDonald's is going viral in a bad way these days because people are showing receipts where a meal at McDonald's is costing 18 to 30 bucks for McDonald's. And again, McDonald's is the most famous, the most successful fast food chain in history, also a real estate company. And they're known for, again, being fast, cheap, convenient. But they no longer have those things. I mean, truth be told, I'm a little bit of a health nut, so I just make my own food the overwhelming majority of the time, unless I'm with a client. I usually never eat out. But in terms of fast food, I mean, I haven't gone to fast food in over a decade at least. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, do they need a lobbyist? Do they need someone to realize that this is destroying jobs, not creating jobs, and destroying industry, not create it? I can't fathom how these companies are going to stay in business in California, and they all want to be there, despite the regulation, despite the taxes. That's what a lot of people don't realize. I always say, why don't you just skip business in California? It's because, just like the automotive companies, while they're making all these regulations, so they have to make these cars that are more expensive, they're not good for the environment, but they think it's good for the environment because they're only thinking about single variable analysis. But, I mean, for automotive, it's the 10th largest market on the planet. It's bigger than some countries, just the single state of California. So that's why these fast food chains are going to stay there as long as conceivable. But I suspect you're going to have to ramp up automation. You have to get really creative, again, in order to avoid jacking up these prices even more, which the consumers, I mean, you've seen the decrease in sale. I don't see the consumers accepting this for much longer. Although, let me know in the comments, would you be willing to go to McDonald's if it would cost you, $18 to $20 to $30? I mean, personally, I wouldn't, but as usual, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of February, so if you click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. A comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Sharing the episode is also greatly appreciated. It helps with the YouTube and all the algorithms. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.